The world awoke to a shocking claim from Moscow, one that would send ripples through global politics and ignite a firestorm of speculation. As the sun rose over the Russian capital, the air was thick with uncertainty and tension, as news outlets scrambled to verify the details of an unprecedented event. According to the Kremlin, a daring and highly coordinated drone assassination attempt had been foiled, an attempt, they said, that specifically targeted President Vladimir Putin himself. The official statement described how security forces detected and neutralized the drones just in time, preventing what could have been a catastrophic attack at the very heart of Russian power. Russian officials wasted no time in pointing fingers. They directly accused Ukraine of orchestrating the plot, labeling it not just as an act of terrorism, but as a deliberate and provocative assault on their nation's leader. The language was forceful, designed to leave no doubt about who they believed was responsible, and to frame the incident as a calculated act of aggression. The accusation instantly escalated already high tensions between Russia and Ukraine, dominating headlines across the globe. Newsrooms buzzed with activity as analysts debated the implications, and the public braced for what many feared could be the next phase of a much larger conflict. The specter of a wider war loomed as the world watched and waited for the next move. By framing the event as a direct attack on President Putin, Russian authorities sought to rally the nation behind their leader. State media and officials emphasized the threat to Russia's sovereignty, using the incident to stoke patriotic fervor and justify the possibility of harsh retaliation. For many Russians, the narrative reinforced a sense of being under siege, uniting them in support of their government. Meanwhile, the international community was left grappling with uncertainty. Was this truly a dramatic escalation in the conflict, or was it a carefully crafted piece of Russian propaganda? Political analysts and diplomats weighed the evidence, with some expressing skepticism about the Kremlin's version of events, while others warned of the dangers of dismissing the claim outright. Russia's allies quickly condemned the alleged attack, echoing Moscow's outrage and calling for accountability. In contrast, Ukraine's partners demanded concrete evidence, wary of being drawn into a narrative that could justify further Russian aggression. The divide between East and West deepened as each side questioned the motives and credibility of the other. The United Nations, caught in the middle, urged all parties to exercise restraint. Officials warned that any miscalculation or rash response could have catastrophic consequences, not just for Russia and Ukraine, but for the entire world. The stakes, they reminded everyone, had never been higher. Russian state media seized the moment, broadcasting dramatic images and urgent commentary. The coverage painted Putin as a leader under siege, bravely facing down threats from abroad. The message was clear. Russia was strong, vigilant, and ready to defend itself against any enemy. For the rest of the world, the incident became a test of allegiance, a moment to choose sides in an increasingly polarized global landscape. News outlets offered competing narratives, and ordinary people struggled to discern fact from fiction in a sea of conflicting reports. In the fog of information warfare, one thing was certain: the truth, as always, was the first casualty. As the world waited for answers, the line between reality and propaganda grew ever more blurred, leaving everyone to wonder what would happen next. As Russia pushed its story, the CIA quietly launched its own investigation. After analyzing intelligence, the agency concluded Ukraine was not behind any assassination attempt on Putin. Instead, the drones likely targeted a nearby military facility, not Putin's residence. Russia expert Angela Stent suggested Moscow's accusation was a deliberate misrepresentation. The CIA's findings reframed the event as a standard military operation, not a personal attack. U.S. officials briefed key leaders, ensuring the American perspective was heard and countering Russia's narrative. This intervention helped prevent a dangerous escalation and challenged Moscow's attempt to control the global story. In the immediate aftermath of the drone attack, former President Trump appeared to take Vladimir Putin at his word, expressing public support for the Russian leader's account of the incident. This initial reaction was met with surprise by many, as Trump's willingness to accept Moscow's narrative seemed to contradict the skepticism voiced by much of the U.S. government and its allies. Trump's stance quickly sparked concern among intelligence officials and lawmakers, who worried that his position signaled a growing divide between the White House and the U.S. intelligence community. The apparent rift raised questions about whether the president was prioritizing personal relationships over the findings of his own agencies. However, after attending a confidential CIA briefing, Trump's perspective shifted dramatically. Armed with new evidence and analysis, he began to publicly question Moscow's intentions, casting doubt on the Russian explanation and signaling a new, more cautious approach. In a series of statements and appearances alongside European leaders, Trump declared that Russia, not Ukraine, was the primary obstacle to achieving peace in the region. This marked a significant realignment, bringing the U.S. position in line with that of its European allies and reinforcing a united front against Kremlin disinformation. The president's public reversal sent a powerful message both at home and abroad. The American political establishment was not willing to accept the Kremlin's version of events without solid proof. News outlets and lawmakers quickly picked up on the shift, highlighting the importance of credible intelligence in shaping national policy. For Russia, this reversal was a setback. The Kremlin's efforts to sow discord among Western nations faltered as leaders presented a unified response, undermining Moscow's attempts to exploit divisions and weaken its adversaries. National security expert Angela Stent observed that Trump's pivot demonstrated the persuasive power of the CIA's evidence. She noted that, even in the face of political pressure, hard intelligence could shift the narrative and influence the highest levels of decision-making. Ultimately, this episode served as a reminder that, in matters of national security, verified intelligence and thorough analysis must take precedence over personal assurances or political convenience. The incident reinforced the critical role of intelligence agencies in safeguarding the nation's interests and maintaining global stability. The drone controversy became a case study in modern information warfare. Russia's claim was a narrative weapon, aimed at stoking patriotism and painting Ukraine as reckless. The US and Ukraine countered with fact-based denials and intelligence briefings. European leaders joined in, dismissing Moscow's story as a distraction. The incident became a focal point in the struggle for global public opinion. The truth itself was up for grabs, with each side fighting for credibility. In today's conflicts, information is as powerful as any weapon. The battle over this story revealed the invisible war for hearts and minds worldwide. The alleged assassination attempt cast a shadow over fragile peace talks. Moscow used the incident to harden its stance, stalling negotiations just as progress seemed possible. Ukraine and its allies saw the accusation as a manufactured crisis to derail diplomacy. European leaders echoed this suspicion, viewing it as another example of Russian disinformation. Optimism about a breakthrough quickly evaporated, replaced by mistrust. The talks stalled, highlighting the difficulty of negotiating with a party willing to fabricate incidents. The path to peace became even more uncertain. The U.S. response to the recent drone incident revealed the careful, calculated nature of its strategy in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. Rather than reacting impulsively, American officials weighed their options, understanding that every move could have far-reaching consequences not just for Ukraine, but for the entire region and even the world. The incident became a test of Washington's ability to balance support for its allies with the need to avoid direct confrontation with a nuclear-armed adversary. The CIA's swift role in debunking Moscow's claim about the drone incident was crucial. By providing clear intelligence and sharing it with allies, the U.S. helped maintain Western unity and counter Russian disinformation campaigns. This transparency reassured partners in Europe and sent a message to Moscow that the West would not be easily divided by propaganda or false narratives. Washington has been notably cautious, deliberately avoiding the supply of long-range missiles to Ukraine. This decision is not just about military hardware. It reflects a broader strategy to prevent the conflict from spiraling into a direct US-Russia confrontation. American officials regularly consult with Ukrainian counterparts, weighing the risks and benefits of each new aid package. This restraint, while frustrating for some in Kyiv, limits Ukraine's leverage on the battlefield. However, it also significantly reduces the risk of escalation, which could draw NATO and Russia into a much larger and more dangerous war. The U.S. is constantly reassessing how best to support Ukraine without crossing red lines that could trigger a wider conflict. The drone incident brought this delicate balancing act into sharp focus for the world to see. News outlets around the globe highlighted the risks and the careful diplomacy required to manage such crises. U.S. policy remains highly adaptive, relying on real-time intelligence to guide decisions on military aid, economic sanctions, and diplomatic engagement. Behind the scenes, analysts and diplomats work around the clock, reviewing satellite images, monitoring developments, and coordinating with allies to ensure a unified response. The crisis has underscored a fundamental challenge for Washington: how to support an embattled ally while navigating the ever-present risk of miscalculation with nuclear-armed adversaries. Every diplomatic handshake and every military shipment is weighed against the possibility of unintended escalation. In this high-stakes environment, every move is carefully considered, with defense officials and strategists constantly evaluating the risk of a wider war. The specter of a broader conflict looms over every decision, making caution and coordination more important than ever. Ultimately, the U.S. must constantly reassess its approach, adjusting its strategy as the situation evolves. Like a complex game of chess, each move is deliberate, with the goal of maintaining stability, supporting allies, and preventing a catastrophic escalation. The drone controversy is a lesson in the power and fragility of truth. Russia's claim was emotionally charged, but without fact-checking, it could have led to disaster. Intelligence agencies and journalists worked to prevent escalation based on a lie. We are all participants in an information war, bombarded by competing narratives. The story shows how easily falsehoods can spread and why skepticism is essential. When truth is contested, sound decisions become difficult. Reliable institutions and objective analysis are more vital than ever. In an age of confusion, seeking the truth is our most powerful tool.